Well, thank you very much, guys. Hey, first off, I want to thank Peoria Championship Martial Arts. They have been a sponsor here since the very beginning. My family, in fact, actually goes to their school. So if you guys do decide to swing by, you will probably see us, get to meet the kids, get to meet myself and my wife. We've been going there for 5 years. The school is amazing for kids as well as adults, has programs that reach both age groups. So their special for our listeners is $49 a month. $49 for the first 4 weeks. That includes your gi introductory lesson with Howard Munding, the instructor and owner of the school. Their website is martialartspeoria.com, and their phone number, where you can schedule your appointments easily with them, is 623-486-0970. Again, 623-486-0970. Peoria Championship Martial Arts in Peoria, Arizona. Feel free to give them a call. Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody, to the newest episode of Retro Nerds Rewind. I am Aaron, your host, and with me, as always, is Sean.
Hi and wave.
Jamal.
Yo.
And the baby of the group, Cody.
That's me.
Today, we're going to be talking about one of our all-time favorite series, Batman the Animated Series. It was on, I believe, two of your guys' lists. I think it was on, if I remember correctly, Jamal and Sean's list of episodes, of shows that we wanted to do. Today, we are doing one of the most famous episodes. It's actually the one that got them their first Emmy. Can you believe it? A Batman cartoon, first season, wins an Emmy. I mean, there we go. So, I believe, if I remember correctly, Jamal may have had some fun facts about this.
Yep.
Let's get a couple of those going right now, buddy.
So first of all, the legendary voice actor Kevin Conroy, may he rest in peace. It was developed by Bruce Timm and Eric Radomski, excuse me. And then it ran from 92 to 95 with a total of 85 episodes and spawned 3 feature films. And you can look those up. Mask and the Phantasm, Mr. Freeze and Sub-Zero, and then Batman and Robin.
Nice. I saw all of those back in the day. Sean, did you happen to catch those when they were out?
I don't think I saw all of them. I know I watched a couple of them. Mask of the Phantasm, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think I saw the Mr. Freeze movie. I saw the third one.
Okay. It's all good. What about you, Cody? Did you happen to catch any of those since they've been out?
I honestly haven't started like superheroes until much, much later on. So I can't say that I have. However, this did rekindle my love for specifically superhero cartoons. So
Okay.
I will say that this is a very good series to rekindle that love for superhero cartoons again.
It really is. Yes. It was a great series, and that's one of the reasons why we had to do it. And we knew we'd have to be within the first 10 episodes. You got to bring in the best stuff. So now, before we go right into our rewind, why don't we take a second here to get a word from our sponsors?
What's up, my nerds? So, quick break while we get back to our rewind, but I wanted to take a second here and do a little shout out for some of our sponsors. Starting with our longtime sponsor, Drawn to Comics. Drawn to Comics here in Glendale, Arizona. Amazing place to get your comic books. Located at 58th Avenue and Glendale. They have a discount code for our listeners that we will provide at the end of the episode, but they're a fantastic comic book shop. Whenever I go in there, I always feel like I'm a VIP, and everyone that I've talked to that goes in there feels the same way. So cannot say enough great things about them. Drawn to Comics, drawntocomics.com, 58th Avenue in Glendale, here in Arizona.
And we're back. Now let's go ahead and hit rewind. Sean?
You guys, someone is stealing equipment from the same company in Gotham, Ferris Tech. But Batman is on the case. A new villain enters the fray, Mr. Freeze. Is he the culprit behind these threats? Yes. Batman uses his detective skills to deduce that he is building a giant freeze ray, and Batman attempts to stop Mr. Freeze from stealing the last piece that is needed, but fails because he decided to save a henchman hit by friendly fire. Ice fire? Batman was able to save the henchman using a hot chemical bath, which will come up later, but catches a cold in the process, also come up later. Batman goes into detective mode to learn about who Mr. Freeze really is, an ex-Ferris Tech employee by the name of Victor Freeze that was transformed in a lab accident caused by the CEO and so-called humanitarian Ferris Boyle. Batman gets caught by Freeze during his investigation and blasted with a freeze gun. After a bit of monologuing, Freeze leaves a captured and hanging Batman to his own devices, like villains do,
Always.
and heads out to pull off his master plan. Ice over the entire Ferris Tech building, sealing and I guess freezing everyone inside, and using this giant freeze ray that he's built. Batman breaks free and attempts to foil Mr. Freeze's plans because Batman. Freeze realizes he is being foiled, heads inside to at least take out the douchey CEO, Ferris Boyle, confronting him and freezing his entire lower body. Batman and Mr. Freeze face off as unable to contend with Mr. Freeze's enhanced strength, so Batman does the only thing Batman can think of, smash a thermos of chicken noodle soup over Freeze's head.
It does a body good.
Causing the helmet to shatter and exposing Freeze to the non-sub-zero temperatures, his one weakness, crippling him in the process. Batman calls out Ferris and hands over the evidence that Ferris is indeed a douchebag and the accident that ruins 2 lives in the process and leaves Ferris to the ice block. The show closes with Freeze, now without his suit, in a specially designed cold cell in Arkham as he begs for forgiveness from the snow globe and dancing ballerina inside that represents his late wife. We pan out as Batman sits on a nearby rooftop looking on like Batman do. Hey nerds, we'll get back to the rewind in just a moment, but I've got to jump in here because I've got some great news for you. We've got a brand new sponsor. Yes, we do. Mediocre Studios. This is a veteran-founded small business specializing in 3D printed miniatures, terrain, tabletop pieces. If you are anything like me, which, let's face it, you might be, I love my 3D printer. I love my 3D printed pieces and painting them, but there's so many. I've got a huge backlog of stuff to paint. Well, guess what? Not only is Mediocre Studios the official US distributor for the Uniformation 3D resin printer, but they also provide minis, tabletop terrain pieces, and painting services. And guess what? They're about to hook you up by letting us hook you up. That's right, we got promo codes, kids! If you go on to their website, mediocre-studios.com, you can order the JK2 and get $80 off if you use the promo code RETRO. Also, you can get 5% off the purchase of any miniature, terrain, or those painting services if you use code word REWIND. They are adding new products all the time, from top modelers including Immaterium God Miniatures, Den of Imagination, DMG Minis, and several other talented artists. So go check them out. The link's down below. That's mediocre-studios.com. Don't sleep on this one because A, these guys are amazing. B, you know you got that backlog. I got that backlog. Go get some stuff painted. It looks great on the table. Go do it. You know, wait for the podcast again to be over. Listen, enjoy us, but go visit them. That's Mediocre Studios. Yeah.
Great summary.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Let's talk about it. Let's shall we dig in?
Let's pull out our notes and start going through the episode. Things we liked, things we caught that we didn't catch back then, little jokes that made you chuckle more than you thought they should, and anything else that gave you the feels. I know I actually got some feels during this episode. So,
let's just start out. We cannot ignore it. That intro.
Who wants to
That
ignore it?
nostalgia is alive and kicking, baby, with that intro. My God.
That intro song is on my road trip Spotify playlist that I take with the kids. They
Nerd
know it,
alert.
they hear it, and then the next thing you know, they're all like, "It's Batman."
It's Batman.
It's Batman. Hey, they're raised right. That's what we gotta say.
Hashtag dad life, hashtag nerd life.
Indeed.
So,
I just have to say that the animation is just so iconic too. As someone that I remember watching one or two episodes back when I was younger. I never really fully watched this, but this is just a series that you could easily point out the art style so easily, and it's specifically the shapes of everything, and that's what I kept talking about to myself as I was watching this. This is also going to go into our next episode too, as well, because I believe
no spoilers yet.
I know, no spoilers. I'm sorry, but shapes is like such a specifically character shapes. You just have like the iconic shapes to everyone. It's so good.
One of the things that I love about the old DC animated universe, and I say old because they're done with this version of it, is the eyes. If you notice, every race, every character, every species, every alien all has different eyes. It's something that is very Bruce Timm's group thing that they've done. So it's just a nice little touch to show the differences between people and all that jazz. So I just love it. This is a great series. This is an awesome episode. It starts out with some nice exposition to get you that feel as to who it might be that he's going to be coming up against. Kind of giving a little background, but not enough to really know what's going on yet. The first laugh that I really had, though, was it was at 2:20, where the kids were throwing the snowballs at the police, and I'm just thinking nowadays that wouldn't go over very well.
At 2:34, I geeked out here because this has been a long time dream of mine. 2:34, we get our first glimpse of the Bat computer, and I would be lying if I said I had never. I really always wanted that wall of computer screens, and I am close to my goal.
Yeah, I was.
Let me tell you,
you're almost there.
It's also
almost.
It reminded me when I was watching him typing on the keyboard and stuff like that. It's the equivalent of what the stereotypical way of hacking into things is. I'm in. And that's all I kept thinking about the whole time. I was like, oh my God, now I know why we have that look on everything, because we have this to blame.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't forget the clap. They always did the clap.
Oh yeah.
Bam, I'm in. And then they did the pound real hard because you gotta have
it's
that
like
extra visual.
Yeah.
I've been sitting at the computer for a whole 10 minutes. Oh, let me go. Okay, all right, I'm in now. Okay, let's go.
4 minutes and 17 seconds. We get a shot of the Batmobile in a chase scene, and it slips on the ice. And I just wanted to call out that this scene alone justifies why I've never left Arizona, because driving on ice is my weakness too, Batman.
Also, Batman is a rich Bruce, or not. I'm so sorry, not Bruce.
Yes, Bruce.
Yeah, Bruce
Yes,
Wayne.
that was Bruce
Bruce
Wayne.
Wayne.
I'm so sorry. Bruce Wayne doesn't have enough to buy chains for his Batmobile.
Or
He's got
some
all
kind
the
of
gadgets. He could've,
specialized rubber
Yeah.
to do it.
Or
I mean, he's got the
four-wheel
money for it.
drive.
Like all the
At
specialized
least.
rubber had to go into the suit.
That's fair.
You know,
I'm just saying, something he could have had like a salt gun to salt the street as he was going down. No.
oh, well, you know, that would have caused rust to the Batmobile, so I don't really
That's
think
fair,
you want that.
So he uses a grappling hook. I guess it was a grappling hook to shoot a pole, and it did spawn like a MythBusters episode of whether or not that could actually happen. I don't remember the results. Get in the comments. Let me know how it goes. What happened there? But
you know, at 425 was the first time we got to see this version of Mr. Freeze. And it's such a good redo. Mr. Freeze looked completely different in the comics leading up to this. Bringing him out, the suit looks so robotic. I mean, robots were huge in the 90s, early 90s, mid 90s, and having a person have that kind of look to it, especially with the paleness on the head, it just added to the character. And it was just such an awe-inspiring sight. Especially, you know, the first time I saw it. I mean, I've seen this multiple times over the years, but it's still the first time you see it and it does that panning. It was so cool.
I will add on to that it was very robotic looking for a robot in the 90s.
Yes,
that's
with
true.
The shoulder pads and the like shapes.
Yes.
Very robotic for the 90s.
And like what Aaron said too, where he's like very human inside the robot, it adds that whole perspective of this is not your typical supervillain that could be overpowering or very complete polar opposite the Joker, who's someone that's completely out of their mind. This is someone that has been through tragedy. This is someone that is human, and it hits close to home, which makes this episode hit so much harder than, say, like a typical Joker episode. Not that there aren't any iconic episodes with the Joker, but it just makes you feel for the supervillain and questions what is truly good in the world.
Right. And that's one of the reasons why we picked this episode, was the fact that the writing was so good. It makes you feel for the villain. Whereas, you know, at the end you're like, was he really a villain? Yeah, he was doing stuff he shouldn't have, but you know, it was really, come on, what are we, how are we classifying him here?
Yeah.
So
I'll go ahead and answer that question for you. Yes. For many reasons. Just because he had a little bit of hardship doesn't mean that he wasn't, you know,
a little bit of hardship.
A little bit of hardship. Like, I'm downplaying that one a little bit. All right. But that doesn't justify all the things that he does. I mean, immediately in that next scene, he shoots his own guy with the ice gun, as I mentioned in my summary, right? And he just leaves. He's just like, I mean,
and can we talk about that?
Yeah, let's do that.
Not a timestamp, but yeah, if his legs were frozen and he gets taken back to Batman's lab, how did his clothes come off?
Well, I mean, Alfred.
But
again, his feet were frozen. So
yeah, I had this whole thing of if his whole bottom half was frozen.
That's a great call.
Where his boots and pants.
I didn't take that one into consideration. Like
how he get his feet out.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure they thawed his body off before, you know, changing
and
the
then
core temperature too much.
Yeah,
and then they refroze it. He wasn't frozen in the water. They were redoing his internals, making sure his body was going to be.
The ice was still on his legs. Like they knew it worked because we saw the ice just at one point just like crystal away.
Yeah, that's the whole thing of the tube, is to melt the ice.
In a chemical bath, not just like warm water. It was a chemical bath.
Yeah.
The reason I harp on that is we'll talk about that as we get to later in the timestamps. That was an like that's the only time we ever need to use that chemical bath.
Yep.
But as we're in the Batcave at 7 minutes 14 seconds, I noticed the funniest thing, and I love seeing these little weird things that get called out. Batman has an escalator.
Yeah.
He does.
Again, rich man,
Yeah.
but
Well,
doesn't
sure.
have enough for chains for his Batmobile. I'm gonna harp on
Yes, he's rich, and yes, he can afford the escalator. That's not what I'm calling out. Dude gets his steps in. Does he need it? Does he need an escalator in the Batcave? Like it's not that far.
that. Batman has his lazy days too.
Yeah,
What can we say?
Maybe it's more for Alfred. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess
Probably.
because
Yeah,
Alfred's the
he's
one
just
using it
showing
in the
off at that
scene. But
point.
yeah, he's just flaunting it for no one else but us viewers.
At 7:40 in the same scene, Alfred makes that great joke about the utility belt not having everything in it, and he hands him a tissue. I'm like,
Yes.
come
No cough drops.
No.
No.
on. I mean, that was great. It was just, especially
Need
as
a pharmacy in your tube belt, Batman.
right.
He needs a Batmo purse. I'm just saying, because then at least with the purse, then he could carry all his medication.
I don't know about that. Maybe a sling. Maybe a sling.
A sling bag, messenger bag.
Backpack of some sort.
One of his spikes on the side could have a little hidden compartment for tissues or handkerchief. Just like pull it out instead of throwing a
Pull it out
batarang.
of
He
his wrist.
pulls out a tissue.
Aren't they-
Ah,
All right, like
Didn't
he's
they
a
from
DNA
we've
all over
seen
the
in-
town, anyways.
as we see in the movies, they're like for offense and defensive purposes with spikes. So someone, I just imagine like he's got his little compartments in there, just pops up, right?
Yeah.
But someone comes at him with a sword and just chops it, and he uses that tissue to wipe up their blood. Sure, like it's multifaceted. It's
Yeah.
brilliant. Batman, you got the money, do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Better yet, he has the built-in abs. He removes one of them,
Built-in.
tissues. The other one, cough drops. There you go.
So he really has a dad bod, and his
Yeah.
abs are
Yeah.
the rubber are part of the suit, just like the ones they used to sell to us as kids.
Mhm.
Change of underwear,
You never know. He could be out staking out for long nights, sleeping with Catwoman or Barbara at one time.
Whoa, not Barbara yet. She's too young now.
Later on.
Spoilers.
Yeah. So
So,
the next timestamp I have is 11:55. Did anybody have anything before that?
No.
So 11:55, Batman's sneaking into the company and going through their filing cabinet, and I wrote down, "Holy paper cut, Batman! Paper files!"
Just out in the open, too,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Oh,
that's how it was back then. You had your area that had your filing cabinet set up. They had a little lock on it, and they were super easy to pick. You could
That's
really
how you know it's
literally
the
use a paper
1900s.
clip
late
to
1900s.
pop those open. There wasn't enough space on servers, and there wasn't big enough servers to be
didn't
able to
have the
hold that
cloud.
stuff back then. So
Speaking of, at 12 minutes and 22 seconds, about 30 seconds later, I just wanted to clarify something for you all, specifically Cody. That box-shaped thing that Batman puts into a machine is called a VHS tape.
I'm very
It
familiar
was-
with VHS. Thank
It
you
was
very
like
much.
the 90s version of YouTube.
I was raised with VHSs still. I'm not
Okay,
that young.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that was clarified for you.
it's probably a core memory he had to unlock.
before
I
you
still
went back to
I
the
still
video
was
store.
in the era of cassette tapes still too. I had to use a pencil to get the tape back in
Okay.
and stuff
Do
like
you
that.
know how to use a
Good old
rotary
VHS.
phone?
Yeah.
Rotary phone, yes. I know how to use a rotary phone. Mostly from older movies usage too.
Do you know how to text using a dial pad?
I do.
Okay.
Very first phone was a Nokia block phone.
Okay.
So.
All right, fine. Enough age testing for Cody.
Yeah.
At 13 minutes, 11 seconds, we have the Mr. Freeze origin scenes, which I have notes. First, Ferris walks in and says Freeze has put him $3 million in debt. All right. That was one guy, one experiment, putting what I'm guessing is a billion-dollar tech company $3 million in debt. That doesn't mean Freeze spent $3 million. It means he
Right.
burned through everything and now is in debt for $3 million. What who gave this guy clearance? I am kind of on Ferris's side here. Good God, man. And then also in that same scene, I couldn't help but noticing watching it how very, very lucky Batman was that Freeze was there to record the procedure, and then someone edited it for the pivotal things that are happening with cutscenes and transitions and things like that. Didn't turn the cameras off. You know, the camera didn't fall to the floor. It was all nicely done for Batman for his viewing pleasure.
So really quick, also, if we were converting, because it was $3 million, you said?
Yeah.
Right.
From then to now, he would be putting the company in $6,311,000,000. No.
That can't be right.
No.
What?
$6,311,646.09 in debt.
Viewers, math is hard.
So $3
Yes.
million plus inflation. There you go.
There's too many zeros that I have never seen in my entire life with the dollar side. I'm just saying.
In person.
In person.
So yeah, I mean that backstory does make you feel a bit for Mr. Freeze. On there, it's pretty tragic compared to someone like the Joker who just fell into a pit of acid. It gives him that human feel. So it kind of starts to blur the line there, especially once you see how the guy doesn't care about his wife and the state that she's in. And of course, obviously, a little spoiler for future of the series, you find out that Nora is not dead, and there's a way to eventually try to bring her back. So really kind of add a little bit more to it when you know what else is going on and you're just seeing this going through it. So
at 14 minutes 6 seconds, I don't want to call out all the great lines because this show actually had a lot of really good ones in there, but the one that really hit me hard was Freeze saying it would move me to tears if I still had tears to shed.
Yeah,
that's an amazing line.
Yeah,
that's a good line.
And around that same time, I have an animation note with the snow moving upward. While Freeze is talking, if you notice, the snow is actually moving upward because you're seeing things from Batman's point of view at that moment.
Yeah,
and he is hanging upside down. So to him, it looks like that snow is going up, and then the camera turns around. You see him, and now the snow is falling down. I mean, it was just like I just saw that. I'm like, that is so cool. I rewound it. My kid's like, "Why are you doing this?" I'm like, "Because this is a great touch for them to have thought to do." I don't know how much the animation cost them at that time, but to go in and do that just so you had that split few seconds of Batman point of view, it was just like, that is so cool. So
little details like that it makes it so good.
Yeah,
especially because I guarantee you I didn't notice that when I was a kid.
I didn't notice it. We were doing the rewatch, so
Mom, bring me some more Lucky Charms.
Hey, he should have had a whole box by that time, almost done. So.
Serial killer. I got a couple notes here that at 15 minutes and 43 seconds. So this is, I know we called it out earlier. I'm going to call it out again because it stuck with me. The Frenchman, the henchman had gotten blasted earlier in the episode, and his legs froze, and they had to be mentored off with that chemical bath. Right.
Right.
Batman gets hit by the same blast. He gets ice cuffs and frozen into the ceiling that he just breaks free with a literal ice pick.
Yep.
Because plot armor.
Mm-hmm.
Well, his whole
It's
body
that-
wasn't frozen.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know,
His legs were.
his internal temperature wasn't at that danger level. That's
it wasn't
probably why.
half of his body. It was only a quarter, and that's the cutoff.
Okay.
Is if it's only a quarter, he won't start going into shock of being frozen. I think that's what it is, honestly.
Okay. In that
Sure.
same scene, at that same timestamp, the other note that I have is that in classic villain cliche moments, Freeze just monologues and then leaves.
Because he's a villain.
Because villain's gonna villain.
Yeah. And
Like you said, plot armor.
Yeah.
Plot armor, yeah.
every time something like that happens, I get syndrome in my head from The Incredibles.
You
Yeah,
got
no,
monologuing.
You've got me monologuing. So, the next thing that I got wasn't until 18. Did you have anything on there, Sean?
Not me.
So at 18, we're in the big battle scene in the building. Batman's gotten himself in, and he does this no look punch. And I'm like, that's typical Batman, getting ready to get himself in there. Guy's coming, fighting him, and the guy tries to sneak up behind him and pop. You know, he's got that bat sense. So,
Because he was bitten by a radioactive bat.
yes. And the sonar goes everywhere, not just in front. So,
It was the ninja training, guys.
yeah,
He's got that ninja instinct.
that we don't know what kind of ninja
We
training
don't
he's
know.
got yet. So,
Speaking of punches, like the next note I have here is at 20 minutes 35 seconds, and it's during the Freeze Batman fight scene. And as I'm watching it, you know, it gets called out that Freeze's strength is tripled because of his suit, but I think it also does nothing for his dexterity, because that is the slowest, most choreographed punch I've ever seen. I'm no boxer. Jamal might be able to throw some comments as to like throw some tips to Freeze's way. That was like, I could have dodged that.
well, he's got the suit, which is bulky.
It's bulky.
Yeah. And he wasn't a fighter. He was a scientist.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, he can't turn for a damn, so I don't know.
It's the shoulder movement. Since the robot doesn't have a proper shoulder to throw, it's just using this, which is it's impressive for no shoulder strength.
and we're not talking Arnold Schwarzenegger Freeze here. So there's no, he was truly a scientist before. So, you know, he had absolute zero true core strengths and muscles on there. So multiplying his strength by 3, probably, you know, about Batman's real strength.
Yeah.
So the next thing I have is at 21:05, when Freeze does his closing dialogue, and he actually has the tears come down, showing he still really had tears to shed.
Right.
And I'm just sitting there just like, oh, my heart's tugging for him, having lost his wife, having lost his chance at revenge, still not knowing what we know for the future yet. And truly having this look of, I'm done. This is it.
That's the last time we ever saw Mr. Freeze. Wait.
In the episode.
In the episode.
So,
I mean, to add on to your great. It was such good writing, and for such a misguided villain, he still did villain things. I stand by that. I die on that hill. But the true villain of the episode did get his comeuppance of, the dude got outed as being the person that caused this whole thing in the first place.
right.
He has to make his own chemical bath to dissolve the lower half of his body, because he's likely going to die. But
Probably not.
I mean, no, it's a kid's show still. But
Yeah.
Batman ain't going to save him.
Nope. They've got to save him for him. He's like, I could tell you how to do it, and I'm out. That's it.
Chicken soup.
Yeah. So, and then we get that awesome closing theme. You know, it harkens back, same music as the intro, which fits the entirety of the show. It was a great episode. I could see why. I mean, I never knew as a kid, and even growing up, never really paid attention to awards for the shows that I watched. I just enjoyed the shows. But as an adult, knowing that I got an Emmy for this episode, I can clearly see why. The writing was so good. It did make me feel for the villain, even though he wasn't the real villain in that episode. He was, but he wasn't. And it with that blurring of the line, it hit so many great notes for me that I could see why it won the award, and it's so loved by the community. So,
Yep.
Speaking of well loved, I don't think we can finish out this episode without stating the elephant in the room, and that is Kevin Conroy
yes.
is Batman. You can have hear me out on this one. You can have Val Kilmer, you can have Michael Keaton, you can have Christian Bale, or whoever else they put in the suit.
Yep.
Kevin Conroy is the voice of Batman. Period. End of story. Stop line.
Yep. Turn the key and lock it.
Yeah. For me, when it comes to animated Batmans, there is no one better than him. He does that distinction between Bruce and Batman so well. And with this being one of the earliest episodes, you can tell he's still finding his footing in there.
Yeah.
But how it goes from here to the end of the series, and even the other ones that he does, like Killing Joke, Justice League, and all that other stuff, even his very final performance in the new
video game.
No,
the Suicide Squad, right?
No, it was Infinite Crisis. Part 3. He's got his very last line record, I believe, for animation was there, and it's just the evolution of him becoming Batman and Bruce Wayne is amazing, and he will always be my favorite animated Batman. Having seen almost all the ones that they've done throughout the years, his voice just hits it on both sides. And
here.
It's great. So
yeah, he also did great in the video games as well.
The Arkham series.
Yeah.
Arkham series, also the Gotham Knight series,
Squad, which flopped, but yeah. That was his last video game, was the Suicide Squad.
Yeah. So
rest in peace, Mr. Conroy.
So why don't we take a quick break for our last sponsor, and we will be right back with some final thoughts.
Let's do a quick wrap up because we are getting close to that time.
Right.
As well.
Yeah. Want to do everyone's final thought of the episode. Just make it quick, and then I'll bring up the little Bruce Timm controversy here.
Quickly.
And we're back. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for listening. So why don't we get some final thoughts on the episode? We'll start with Jamal. Tell me, what'd you think of this episode?
I love this episode. It gives you insight into a villain's mind and how they become a villain. Everybody doesn't start out a villain, so that's what I loved about it. Because it essentially gives you, like, it could happen to you type of thing. If you're in love and lose somebody, you're gonna try to get them back, or by any means necessary, if you can get them back. So that's what I liked about it.
Nice. What do you think, Cody?
I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Made me want to rewatch it, which is so funny because right afterwards, after watching it, I did end up watching more episodes just because I was like, holy cow, this is so good. It's still on my list to continue watching it. But I have always loved the fact that you always have these stories of it's always good versus bad, and then finding out there's not really anything that's truly good or truly bad. There's always going to be morally gray. And the way that they showcased it in this episode specifically hits so close to home to some people about grief and just
Chemical
the love
explosions.
of someone. Yeah, chemical explosions. But I am all for morally gray stories at all times because it's unrealistic of always being the good guy or the bad guy. So
Sure. What about you, Sean?
This show is on my rewatch list for a reason. This is the reason. Not only was this a fantastic episode, really well done. The fight scenes, despite the very slow punch, were very good. The details were on point. I loved this show for a very good reason. And I look forward to watching more episodes and maybe convincing everyone. Probably wouldn't have to twist too many arms, but convincing you guys to do another rewatch, another episode of maybe another iconic.
So again, I want to thank all our sponsors that we had today: Championship Martial Arts, Mediocre Studios, and Drona Comics. And for those listeners that do feel like checking out Drona Comics, don't forget to use our code while you're there. This week's code is the word rewind. That's right. Tell them you hit rewind and you need your discount, because right now you get 10% off everything except for consignment and specially marked products. So,
pretty good deal.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, Jamal,
get to it.
So that code again was rewind?
Correct. Tell them you hit rewind.
Hit rewind.
Jamal, would you care to send us out, sir?
And that will do it for us, as always, until we meet again and rewind.
See you later, everybody.
Take it easy,
Bye, everyone.